way. Good morning.
It's kind of ominous.
I'm just setting up here, checking that we're working. I have a live, but I don't have anything showing coming through. So what is happening here? Do I have to press that?
Yeah. There you go.
Ah, here we go. Oh, right, okay, I'm just slightly out of camera shot. Let's have a look, see if I can just move this a little bit so that when I look it's not cockeyed. I'm possibly a little bit early, so we have a bit of background music today because Amy's playing guitar, just having a little strum whilst we get going this morning. I have a feeling some of you may be making the most of the weather and you may actually be outside today. But hello Karen, thank you for joining today. I don't think I've seen you here before, Karen, so big warm welcome from Nifty Noodles. Hello Jane and good morning. I was just saying, Jane, that I think people are taking advantage of the weather and what might be some of the last of the summer sunshine, so I certainly will be later today. Okay, hi Moira, good morning to you too. I'll give it a second. Oh, the background music's disappeared, Amy's gone. Good morning Bernadette, thank you for joining us this morning. Hi Jill, we made it today, that's lovely. Hi Alison, how are you today? Hope everything's as well as can be with you, Alison. I will make a start, I think, because this may take me just a little bit longer than usual. I think I mentioned that I was not folding today. I was going to be cutting, stenciling, stamping, and that was probably about it. So this is a real change for me. I'm good, Alison, thank you. This is what I'm going to make today. You've probably all seen similar styles. You may well have made them yourself, but for anyone that hasn't tried stenciling or stamping on top of stenciling or cutting out strange shapes, then this is a reasonably quick and easy. Yeah, I just decided to have a bit of a change and a mix-up. I have background paper, stencil. I will use the same stencil and stamps today. So without further ado, let's get on with it. Hi Miriam, hoping to learn today. Oh Moira, hopeless with stamping. Hey, you can't get much more hopeless than me, I tell you. Anyway, let's see what happens. I'm going to start off with a 5x7 card blank. We all call it a 5x7, and then suddenly I'm going to be talking centimetres, but hey, that's the way it goes. For anybody who prefers to work in inches still, when I'm matting and layering, if I'm doing it in inches, I always cut each piece of card 1/4 of an inch smaller, which means you get an 1/8 of an inch border around the project that you're creating. Obviously you can make it larger, you could make it smaller. Centimetre wise, I tend to cut 4mm smaller and have a 2mm edge. So 5x7 card blank. The mat that I am choosing for today is from, oh gosh, I used some of those last week. It's a Craft Consortium set of papers, Woodland something. Just bear with me. It's slightly textured like basil, and it's from Woodland Friends textured cardstock, and they are lovely colours coming into autumn in there. Your yellows, some greens, orangey browns. So that's what I'm using for my mat today, and I have cut that 4mm altogether smaller than my card blank. So it's actually 17.1 centimetres by 12.1 centimetres. Actually, that's not right, is it? I've cut it a bit smaller than that. Yeah, I've cut this 7mm smaller just to get a slightly wider edge around there to create a nice contrasting border. My layer is a piece of pink card. It's a bit of a weird pink. I don't know how I'd describe this. Peachy pink. It's not pastel, it's not fuchsia, but when I was recently choosing some papers from the paper tree, some cardstock, I went for this pink and it wasn't really quite what I expected when it came, but I'm using it. This piece is 16.5 by 11.5, and I am also taking a piece of plain white, exactly the same measurement, so 16.5 by 11.5, and I'm going to cut this to create the shape that goes across the card. Okay, I also have cut from the mat two very thin, they're about 2 to 3, about 3mm wide, those two very thin strips which are going to border your stenciled and stamped section of card. Those you need to be at least 18 centimetres long, well, yeah, with a bit left over, because they're going on the diagonal. Okay, so those are my basic cardstock items. I am on my white piece of card marking top right hand corner. I am marking at 1 centimetre in and at 1 centimetre down. I always talk slowly when I'm measuring. At the bottom left hand corner, I am measuring 5 centimetres in, and I am measuring 5 centimetres up the left side edge as well. And when I cut those, if you can see with the ruler there, that is going to create my, I don't know, do you call it a fluted shape, a conical shape? I don't know. So I am just on my small trimmer, rather than using my knife, which this is actually reasonably thick cardstock, might not get through it first time. I'm just going to line up the 2 pencil marks on each side, cut those down, and you end up with a piece of card looking like that, and 2 offcuts. Obviously I'm going to save these because I will use them for something at a later date. Okay, get rid of your pencil marks. Okay, now I am no expert when it comes to things like this. I like to spend my money on my craft supplies rather than sometimes the equipment with which to make things. So I haven't got a nice blending mat or anything like that. I take a piece of scrap paper. I'm going to place my cutout piece of card on there, and then I am using a Pretty Gets Gritty Bubbles stencil. Now I like this one because it's very random, and also because it's quite large, and when I put that, it doesn't, at an angle, it doesn't matter how I could place it and move it. But with this, because of the size of it, I can actually get it to cover the whole of my piece of card. I've then got washi tape that has been used umpteen times, and what you need to remember if you're doing something like this, if your stencil is larger than your card under it, put like a, if you roll sellotape or washi tape up on itself with the sticky on the outside, I put a piece on the bottom of there, pop this back in here so that it's all showing. So my piece of card is going nowhere. I'm then going to take bits of washi tape that I've used before. I've got them stuck all over my desk, and I'm just going to fasten down the stencil. Okay, let's have a look. Hi Liz, good morning. Hi Wendy, just having a quick look, see who else is there. Hello Gail. Anita, hi Elizabeth. Oh, lovely to see you here. Haven't seen you here for a while, Elizabeth. Thank you for joining. Okay, and I am going to stamp through, I'm going to sort of ink through the stencil. And again, this is a bit of a trial and error thing. I decided to use the pink card kind of at the last minute, and I don't have the right sort of pink really to go with it. So what I'm going to do is, because it's brown and pink, I'm going to first use a Tim Holtz Distress Ink tea dye, which is a nice quite pale colour, and I am just going to lightly go through the stencil. There is no pattern to what I am doing. I do tend to be a little bit heavy-handed stenciling, but I've always liked to see colour, and I do very, very much envy people's creations that I see where the stenciling in the background is just so light and delicate, and I just think, oh gosh, wish I could do that, but I get carried away with the colour. Okay, now this is about my only and my best pink, so I'm actually going for Charming Pink, and let's just see what this turns out like. Stamping for me is a bit of trial and error. Okay, sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. So VersaFine Clay in Charming Pink, and this is where, yes, I do have to be quite light with the amount of ink that comes off on the stencil, because it is really quite a bright pink, very nice pink, I must add. But I just want to make sure that I've got a little bit on all of the cutout sections of the stencil. Okay, I have been really quite daring recently. A couple of you may have seen I have actually done some wet embossing, some heat embossing, call it whatever you want, but as opposed to just embossing, folder embossing. I started off my card making journey very much with embossing. My embossing powders are all probably 20 plus years old. But I've been, I don't know whether I used to rush it or what, but I seem to have got the knack a bit better just now. Okay. So I've been embossing some sentiments on Christmas cards. Okay, right, that's not bad actually. Okay, keep the scrap of paper for something later. And there is, it is a very different pink to my background paper. We'll see what it ends up looking like. Okay, so that's the stenciling bit done. I do actually need the paper back. I am now going to stamp onto the stenciled piece of card. This is new. With Craft Stash recently, with one of the orders I put in, I could choose a free gift, and I chose a set of Phil Martin stamps. It came as A4, which is wonderful, and I think it was called Fireworks. Doesn't have a name on the back of it now. And there are all sorts of explosive stamps on here, but the one I am using today are these like dandelions, and the little bits of the individual seeds from a dandelion that are flying away. So I can see this being a really useful set of stamps actually, and I'm going to ink those yeah, with the best brown I have. It's Walnut Stain. So this is random again. I am going to randomly, she says, and this might not be the right sort of ink for this stamping. Elizabeth's very good with different sorts of inks. It's going to go on the card a bit like that, so I'm just going to put an impression on. Now the great thing about this, and certainly with the dandelions, is it doesn't have to be a perfect impression. that is not the idea on this card. So I'll get a little bit with some of the stalks on. Okay, that's great for that. Okay, put that to one side. And then I've got the stamp that had all the tiny little bits on. Ink that. And some of these, I need to get it the right way. Some are bigger than the others, so shouldn't have to move me, move the paper. Okay. And let's just pop some of those floating away. Okay. So that's most of my stamping finished for that card now. Okay. So something like that, like I say, it doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody knows that, what it was supposed to be. Hi Karen, thanks for joining us. Doesn't matter if you're late at all. Okay, so let's start to make the card up. Wet glue and your mat. Okay, so let's get the mat on the card. I do like brown and pink together. I think they are two wonderful colours. I'm not sure that I've chosen either the right brown or the right pink. Some of you that are good with colours and colour wheels would have perhaps a better way of matching than I have done, but I have the card stock and it's to be used, so there we go. Okay. Aside from playing with this one at the weekend, I have been busy back on Christmas cards. That would be no surprise to any of you, and I am thoroughly enjoying the craft consortium made by Elves, illustrated by Hell's Couple-Ditch. Beautiful papers yet again. And what I'm trying to do with that, because sometimes I find, I don't know about you, but I find that certainly with things like Christmas or I get a new kit, I actually rush to use it, and I thought this time, no, I'm going to take my time over this one, and I'm working through the live streams that I've been doing, and with any of the folds or cuts or anything, any of the style of card that I've done that will accommodate the little toppers, about 9 centimetres square, that come with the craft consortium from Hell's Couple-Ditch. I am making one card in each design, so I'm really enjoying what I'm doing at the moment. Oh right, I haven't quite got my measurements perfect on that. I have a slight little overlap there, which I am just going to trim down. Let's hope by eye I've managed to get that right. Okay, must have slightly mismeasured that one. Gosh, don't know how I managed that. Maybe I got the paper slightly not quite square in the trimmer. Okay, and that then should just fit corner to corner on there. Oh gosh, the pink's a bit different. Don't look too closely. It might not be too bad through the camera. Okay, so I'm going to glue that on first. Again, wet glue just in case I don't get it placed quite right the first time it touches the card. This has actually been a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be. There isn't a lot of stamping, but what there is, it's a good starting point. Good sort of project to have a little play with. Different colours, different stencils. Okay. And then for these tiny little strips, I tend to use... gosh, who does it come from? Oh, it's a Sakura, a quickie glue pinpoint roller. I love these. So for the really thin bits, it's, if any of you haven't seen it or got one, it's just like a rollerball pen. And rather than actually put the glue onto the strip, I'm actually going to glue onto the card at each side. And the thing about this is, light's a bit tricky today, but it is a blue colour is the glue, and you can generally see that the glue has hit your paper. I'm hoping you're not getting my head in here. That was better with the light. I'm just trying to make sure that I actually get glue all the way down here. I'm sure some of you would have a very fine nuzzled quick drying glue, but I'm going for this today. Right, that's a bit of a mistake by me. Okay, when you're doing this, you might want to attach all of this to your coloured layer before you actually put it on your card. I did this at the weekend. I played around for ages cutting out different sizes of that section, looking at different colours and all sorts, and now I'm going to make a mess of this. I need to just cut through that top layer. This is how not to do it. Okay, let's lift that and cut it. You see, we all make mistakes, but whatever you think the mistake might be, there will be a way to rectify it. Okay, there we go. And at the bottom, let's just snip that off. Okay. Right, so can I do this one a little bit better? Okay. If right, I'm going to put the strip on there so that I know what angle to cut it at. Okay, that at least gets one of the angles right. And then my other angle, gosh, how not to craft, is going to be there. So if I line that up at the side, there we go. And the same thing down here. This is also a really good way of using up some of your scraps of maybe white card. You see, you could do this on a 5x5 inch card. You can do it on a 4x6. You can make this wider or thinner. Doesn't have to be my 1 centimetre at the top and 5 at the bottom. You can do whatever suits the size of card you have and play around with the shapes. Okay, that fits better. Oh, that's better. So with the brown edging on there, it takes away the different sorts of pinks, so it's not quite as important that they do match, although yeah, not totally happy with that. Never mind. Okay, you will come up with something better yourselves, I am sure. Let's have a look. Christmas wobbler card in 28 degrees. Oh gosh, Leslie, that sounds like me all over. Thank you for joining us, Leslie, this morning. No mistakes, only creative enhancements, if only. Okay, now the last thing I was going to do on this card, I just thought the sentiment, you're never more than a thought away, went a little bit with the dandelion idea and making wishes and thinking about people. So that is a Lily of the Valley stamp that I've had for years. So let's use that again. Stamping platform, it's still set up from when I did that card, so my stamp should be in just about the perfect place. Now, it isn't the best ink, I know, for stamping, but I'm going with the same colour, the walnut stain, as I've stamped the dandelions. But with the stamping platform, at least if it really doesn't look like it's worked well enough, oh, actually that's okay, I could stamp it again and I'd get it exactly in the right place. Stamping platform is something that I bought because it came with a set of inks years ago, and I just put it in a drawer and thought, I'm not stamp, I'm not using that, can't go there. Let's take my stamp off there. However, I would say over the last year or so, it has really come into its own, and I absolutely love it. It makes your stamping so easy. There's none of this trying to place a sentiment, taking your stamp away and seeing that part of it isn't stamped. You can go back to it with the stamping platform so many times. So if there's one piece of kit you haven't got, a stamping platform is always a good one to buy. And then I had a look in my stash of candy and came up with perfectly coloured candy to match my background card. So I am just going to put 3 pieces of candy on the bottom, and again it's personal choice how you place your candy, but for me the foam pad goes on the back of the piece of candy. I've seen so many people put the foam pad on the actual project first, and I just can't get my head around doing that. So just pick it up with my knife and try place them evenly along the bottom edge, bottom side of the card. So that's the card finished for today. I'm not totally happy with the pink, I have to say. If I had to choose one, I would go for the orangey yellow and the black, but the pink does work. I know some of you will create, sorry, all of you, some of you, if you choose to do the card, will create some stunning designs with perhaps 2-3 colourways. But it's quick and easy. I mean, that card, okay, I've done a little bit of the basic cutting out prep beforehand, but that's taken probably about 20 minutes to make that. And yeah, super little card. So let's just have a look. What have we all been saying? Pink pops against the stamping. Yeah, okay, thank you. But I ummed and ahed for ages as to what colours to use. I'm quite happy with the browny orangey colour. But you have to try these things, and that is what card making and crafting is all about. So at this point, I'm going to leave you all to enjoy the sunshine. I hope you've all got sunshine. I certainly have here. Thank you all for joining me this morning. I'll see what I can come up with. Might try some more stamping if I'm feeling brave for you next week. I'll see what I can come up with. But in the meanwhile, thank you very much for joining. I hope some of you can manage to give it a go at some point, and I'll look forward to seeing your creations later. So thank you and have a good day, everyone. Bye for now.